Alright, hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about multiplying and dividing rational expressions. And you're probably wondering what happened to adding and subtracting. Well, you'll understand why when we get to adding and subtracting, but we're going to do it after we do multiplying and dividing. Okay. So first thing what we want to do is we kind of want to figure out, okay, so this first problem is multiplying. And what I want you to do is I just want you to realize that we're treating these just like we would any sort of rational equation or rational expression insofar as without the x. So it's just think about it kind of like multiplying fractions. The same rules are still going to apply. All right, so when we multiply, when we're multiplying, so for example, number 1, when we look at 3 times r plus 1 over r plus 1 times r plus 1 times 3 over r minus 1, what I want you to do is I want you to kind of treat each of these expressions as kind of like their own entity. So it's kind of like an a over b times c over d, right? So kind of that rule that we have for multiplying and dividing is if I have a over b times c over d, when I multiply them together, I multiply straight across, and this just becomes AC over BD. And that same idea is going to work here. So whenever I multiply fractions, always multiply straight across. Okay? And so what it's going to be left with is we're going to have 3 times r plus 1 times r plus 1. And do not make that squared yet. Always keep it as simplified as possible. Over, and then that 3 is actually going to kind of move to the front, right, because we want to kind of list it in order of factors. So this is 3 times r plus 1 times r minus 1. Now the reason that I had you keep it this way is that you can see now, right, I'm going to simplify. So when I simplify, I think, okay, what can I get rid of here? Well, those 3's become a 1. These r plus 1's, those are removable. And so what I'm left with as far as my expression is concerned is I'm left with just simply r plus 1 over r minus 1. And that's simplified as far as it'll go, and that's how we kind of multiply. Okay? And again, for number 2, we're going to do the same kind of idea. All right, we're just going to multiply straight across. Okay? And some of you are going, well, can't I cross cancel? We're not going to do anything like that. We want to multiply straight across first to make life a little bit easier on ourselves and keep everything in factored form. Okay? So this is going to turn into, and again, that 3 is going to go in front, n minus 1 times n minus 3 all over 2 times n minus 3 n plus 1 n minus 1. Okay, now again, looking for what can I cancel out here. All right, I've got an n minus 1 and an n minus 1. I've got an n minus 3 and an n minus 3. And so then what's left for my simplifying is just going to be that 3 is going to stay on top. And then I've got a 2 times n plus 1 on the bottom. Now again, I could go ahead and just distribute that 2 if I really wanted to, but I don't have to. So either one of these will work. Okay, I prefer that one just because I like keeping things in factored form. Okay. Yeah. So for the next one, since we're going to be dividing, right? So when we divide, we're going to do things a little bit differently. Okay, when we divide, all right, it's going to be, so when I'm trying to divide a over b divided by c over d, again, some of the things that I want you to understand that this is the same thing as going a over b all divided by c over d. So there's a lot of fractions kind of going on in there. So one of the things that we recognize is this actually becomes a over b times d over c when I finish it out. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to flip the second term, not the first, the second term. So we're going to flip this term, right? And then our problem is actually going to become v plus 2, and again, kind of keep the expressions kind of as their expressions. So this is going to become v over 2 times, or sorry, divided by v plus 1 times v plus 2. And then now this is going to become a multiplication. So notice that the switch here, okay, notice the switch. So this goes from division to multiplication, and it's going to be v minus 3 now, and v plus 2 up top, and then v plus 2 in the denominator. Okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply straight across just like normal. Okay? So now this becomes v plus 2 times there's 2v plus 2's times v minus 3 all over v plus 1 times v plus 2 times v plus 2. Canceling out what I can, so there's 1v plus 2, 1v plus 2, 1v plus 2, 1v plus 2. I can't cancel out anything else, and so now I'm left with v minus 3 over v plus 1. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to do that again for the number 4. I'm going to flip the second term, and so I'm going to be left with 2, and again, kind of keep that term. So this is 2 times n plus 1 all over n plus 1 times n minus 2 times n plus 3 all over 2 times n plus 3. I multiply straight across, and I'm going to be left with 2 times n plus 1 times n minus, that should be a minus 2 times n plus 3 all over, that 2 is going to move in front, 2 times n plus 1 times n plus 3. Okay. And so then now I'm going to cancel out everything that I can. Those 2's are gone, those n plus 1's are gone, and then the n plus 3's are gone. And so what I'm actually just left with all by itself is just n minus 2. Okay? And that's how we can multiply and divide rational expressions. And I'm going to leave you guys to do number 5, 6, 7, and 8 kind of on your own. I will be posting the solutions, but I want you guys to check, to work on these through your own and check and see. Also, when I'm posting the solutions, I won't show any work. I will just be posting the solutions, and it'll be your responsibility to work backwards to get there. Okay? All right, thanks, guys, and good luck on the assignment.